Howdy howlers! Sako to me, also known as Cass Voigt. I write horror and I'm a witch and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine these three things. Today I am pulling the witch card and I'm reading Weave the Liminal, there we go, by Laura Tempest Zakroff. We're going to talk about fear, intuition, and instinct finally. That's probably going to be a thing. If you are still hanging out at Talking Witchy Things on my channel, awesome. Yay, look, you're here. Yay, look, you're here. And most people are over at RP and Jordan's stream right now, so I'm going to see if anybody wants to pop over. I want to see it in action. I want to see your website. I want to see your Instagram. I want to see your a new video by you to see like what your intro and outro look like. I'm super excited. So it occurs to me that I just helped, speaking of branding, I just helped Moon Bunny rebrand, or rather I helped Sage rebrand into Moon Bunny, and I can add that to my portfolio. There's still a couple of things I need to make for them, like intros and outros and overlays and stuff like that. Stuff for the internet. It's all over the place, and the new video comes Friday, recorded by the new camera. Cool. I'm this close to buying a new camera for video work specifically, because I feel like my phone is falling behind. Oh, my coffee's in the kitchen. I will be right back. Hold on. That's all comment. Yeah. NicoleFordThomas.com. Do the things. Thomas. Ooh, yes. I'm gonna share my screen so you guys can look at it while I'm epic fail. Hi, Elle. Can't tell if it's raining or not. I don't think it is. Howdy, Novel Nana. Bex. I've adopted you. It's official. I'm gonna grab my coffee. Posting the link was a fail. The branding is a super win. Okay, great. So you guys can see. Oh, that's a nice little ending to your blurb. Yas. Ooh. Or maybe ghosts. Look, they're not sure what they're fighting, but they know they will be so grounded if they die. That's funny. Moonlight Market. Also, if you haven't bought this book, I strongly recommend it. Yeah, buy this book. Maybe I'll read like a quickie, because they're like little flash fictions. I'm gonna promote the hell out of this book. Maybe I'll read some after we do the thing. But you can stare at this stuff. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, yeah, buddy. Yeah. So are you doing the press thing? Are you doing a publishing thing? Because that's cool. Witch of Quill Cottage. Hello. Hello. Yeah, I'm jumping between streams, and I know the wee ones are like keeping you busy. But thanks for stopping in. Will you say hello? Absolutely. Hi. Wait. Hi, Elena. Hi, Elena. Hello. How are you today? What are you considering? Also, hi, Natalie. Congratulations on the expansion for your brand. I know it was a small step, but it was a big step. It's a step I haven't quite taken yet. I need to actually make an account for Cass. Yeah. Considering making your own press. Because there are a lot of people who do the like YA fantasy-ish things with the or dark fantasy type stuff. So there's a possibility that you could get some titles under your belt that aren't just by you. Okay, see you in a bit. All right, I am going to grab my coffee. Please hold. don't believe you when you tell them a person doesn't live here. This place was empty for like a few years before we moved in. Yeah, I know what you mean. Or the person has been dead for 10 years. And still get stuff for them. And still get calls for them. It's fucking stupid is what it is. All right, I have my coffee. I have my books. Now the question is, do I read a quick thing by Nicole, or do I just hop in with the book? I think I'm going to read a quick thing by Nicole. Just one of the shorter ones. That's a longer one. Vinyl is pretty short. Let's do that. At least no one has died. I tried to take comfort in these words as I tossed and turned in the dark, struggling with the latest bout of depression. I repeated the mantra when my chemically unbalanced brain turned against me, rendering me unable to find solace in anything else. Such self-soothing left me unprepared to hear the news the following morning that my favorite musician, a man I had loved in the superficial way we were able to love celebrities, was found dead while I slept. It was only appropriate that I heard the tragedy from my sister. 8 years my junior, she didn't have the prerequisite of being a teenager in the 90s, during the rise and fall of the grunge movement. We were both adults when we went together to our first Stone Temple Pilots concert. That night, she grew to understand that I saw what I saw in Scott Weiland, as she listened not only to his voice, but his lyrics. Whatever frequency Scott resonated with, we were on it too. I have my own thoughts on Scott Weiland. I will address it after I finish this. Hi, Andrew T. So good to see you. I'm reading some stuff by Nicole Ford Thomas. It's very brief and also screaming to the 90s kid in me. I was an 80s kid, so like I was the target audience for the grunge movement for sure. We kept close tabs on his local concerts, knowing how important it was to go as often as possible. We knew with sober hearts that Scott's clock was ticking down. After years of drug and alcohol addiction that he never seemed able to crawl out from under, we would mournfully yet realistically proclaim the need to see him while we still can. In waking to her early morning text, which read a simple, "Oh no," and included a screenshot from the announcement that she couldn't bring herself to type, my time ran out. Depression robs us of so much, but in that moment, I had gratitude for my ability to not feel the weight of his death. This man who spoke to me to my very core. I did what I needed to do to function. I pushed it out of my vision and I carried on. Time granted me a reprieve from depression, and it wasn't long before I could return to a life without needing mantras on dark nights. However, I hadn't unpacked Scott's death from the dark recesses of my mind to allow myself the hurt necessary to the healing. The day a Stone Temple Pilots song came on the radio, across the radio, I shut it off. I'm not ready yet, I explained to my husband. But recognizing the festering of the neglected wound, I understood it was time. I couldn't keep myself from feeling lost forever. My heart heavy with emptiness, I laid my Stone Temple Pilots record on the turntable and placed the needle on my favorite song. I gave myself permission to mourn him then, a man I loved as purely and unconditionally as anyone can without knowing him. But I did know him, and somehow he knew enough of me to have the exact words I needed to hear to begin to heal from losing him. As the static scratch of the vinyl came through with his soothing voice, I realized the folly in taking comfort that no one I had loved had died. We all die eventually. It's better to take comfort that we lived it all. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Hi, Andrew. Oh, I missed this. Because I was sick, I got to skip this annoying class to get a job. Why would I bother getting a job just for 30 days? Oh, that sucks. Hi, Raven. Good to see you. Sorry about the creaking and stuff. Sounds like my mom's coming down the stairs. I had weird dreams last night. This morning, I dreamt my knees no longer worked. Which means I need to get back into shape. Oh, thanks. Because I slurp. Okay. Are we ready to start talking witchy stuff? Also, I'm going to try and record some of my audiobook today. This will be my warm-up. Hi, Debbie. Good to see you. Maybe you'll rub off on me a little bit and I can work on my comic. What's up? Nothing? Split happens? You'll be glad to know that I'm ready for tomorrow's game. Yeah.
No more shit, I'm not ready.
Yeah, no more shit, I'm not ready. There might be a little like, wow, we went through that fast. We're gonna do this now. All right. Fear, intuition, and instinct. At one of my workshops, a participant asked, how do you know the difference between when you're fearful of change and when there's legitimate danger? Like when a new deity wants to work with you versus when it's something else that doesn't have your best intentions in mind. I thought for a moment, agonizing over how the answer was going to sound, but I said it anyway. You should know the difference in your gut. I then added, if you haven't learned to trust yourself enough, then take extra precautions to protect yourself. It sounds so simple and basic, right? Trusting your gut and knowing how to interpret it correctly. This skill is so incredibly important, valuable, and essential to being an effective witch, but I would wager that it is one of the hardest for modern witches to develop. Here are some of the many reasons why trusting your inner voice is hard. Maybe you fear of doing it wrong, being called out, or looking stupid. Maybe being constantly bombarded with useless information. That's a big thing. I had to sift through the bullshit to find the gems. Family dynamics that may not foster self-starting self-esteem or self-confidence. And educational systems that don't support critical thinking skills or independence. I was going to say something, but I won't. I'm not going to. Sorry. Systems that downgrade or insult intuition since it's invisible. Christianity. Gotta get a lozenge for this cough. It's not a skill you can absorb from a book or develop overnight. We're often so hard on ourselves. We read how other people do things instead of going, that's a neat way of looking at it. We may wonder if our way is wrong, even if it's been working great with fantastic results. No, I can't say I've had that thing. But then we wonder if maybe there's something we don't know. Trusting ourselves can be incredibly hard. That requires listening to our own bodies and thoughts and considering them in turn. For example, let's consider the original question from that workshop I mentioned. I pointed out that there's a difference between fear of change and fear for safety. The understanding of how they differ comes down to reading your own body. For example, there are times when I know something will be good for me, like going out to spend time with friends, but the desire to stay home is strong. This desire could be related to my physical comfort because it's dark and cold out, or could be more emotionally linked to social anxiety because the outing involves new people or an unfamiliar location. Both of these reasons generate a distinct physical, mental sensation. I'm not afraid of going out because of possible physical or emotional dangers, but the desire to stay comfortable and or anxiety about dealing with new people or places feels prohibitive. The sensation is like encountering a small wall. I know I can easily just walk over, but do I really want to? At the same time, I know that if I go out, I will have a good experience that I won't regret. Fear for safety feels completely different. This fear is like knowing there's something mortally dangerous there that you can smell or hear, but you can't see. Instead of a little wall, there's a giant barrier in front of you that wasn't there earlier, or a big heavy gate. Or it could feel like an arm across your chest, like mom reaching out instinctively when she has to brake suddenly, despite the fact that you're wearing a seatbelt. Not my mom. Sure, you can climb the wall with some effort. Heave open the gate or push past the arm, but you get the sense of a deeper foreboding that holds you in place. All of these involve very real sensations and thought processes in the body. You feel a subtle yet physical response to a given situation. It can be a sudden sense of excitement, like a light came on to point out a new way, or an overwhelming sense of calm when considering one of two choices. You may feel an adrenaline rush with heart racing or prickly armpits. Do your armpits feel prickly? Where was I? It could be your stomach feeling like it dropped down to your knees. These physical responses tell us to be warned, be on guard, protect yourself, make this choice, go that way, stop, protect, push, fight, run. When we connect these gut feelings with our critical thinking and our spiritual mind, it can lead to amazing outcomes in our work. Naming this sensation gut instinct isn't a bad idea either. What does our digestive system do? It takes all the liquids and solids we ingest and transforms them into things we can use to live, discarding what we don't need. Your intuition does the same thing by absorbing all the information you're experiencing or have experienced, be it physical, mental, metaphysical, spiritual, etc., and processing it for the appropriate response. To foster your own intuition and strengthen your gut instinct, I recommend taking a moment to check in with yourself when you're facing a decision and you have more than a split second to do it. Yes, sometimes, yeah, your teeth itching, yeah. What are the pros and cons? How urgent or strongly do you feel about the situation? What are possible outcomes? If you removed the outside opinions, other forces trying to influence you, what do you feel would be the best solution? You may want to keep a journal as well, documenting certain situations and answering the previous questions. You can also write about things that happened to you and try to remember how you felt before you did and said a certain thing. Did you get that warning sensation, but you did it anyway? What happened? Or did you give in to the outside pressures and ended up regretting it? This kind of consideration and journaling can help you gain more self-trust on your path as a witch. Consider these words from the book Cosmic Religion by the legendary brain Albert Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. It is, strictly speaking, a real factor in scientific research. With those words in mind, let us move on to the realm of magic and spellcraft. Next section is the reality of magic. So what do we think of the idea of following your gut and knowing the difference between danger and just fear of change? All right, see you later, Orla. See you. I'm gonna put this in here so it doesn't lose my page. Yes. Yes, the difference between you agree with her words regarding following your gut. Almost 46 years old and I never got the hang of it. My body and spiritual instincts are by and large crap. Well, maybe it pays to kind of explore a little more so that your instincts have more information. You don't agree with it. Maybe. All right, go pick up your brat. Good. Be safe. You don't know. All right, so I think people are afraid of change and afraid of doing it wrong, afraid of being judged in some capacity. And oftentimes this fear is extreme enough that it can rival that of fear of safety. But when it all boils down to it, like, what are the repercussions? If, say, I'm afraid to release my book, right? Because people are going to read it and they're going to hate it. Or it's not going to do very well because I'm posting it on a site that isn't very active. But I overcame that small wall. Because it is a small wall for me. But for some people, maybe not so much. Introverts must especially. I have a terminal addiction to comfort and safety, resulting in what could be construed as atrophied instincts that react to every change or variation as life-threatening. Precisely. And frighteningly put. Frighteningly put. So how do you overcome these yeah. You have to The moment I learned to tell the truth, that the repercussions of telling the truth were a lot better than lying, or telling a fib. Well, it's the same thing, right? Hi, Cliftofer. Was I drew a heart in graphite on a white couch. And I eventually fessed up and said, okay, I did it. And they weren't mad. They did punish me anyway, but it's not like, it wasn't their wrath that I got. And I was like, so much better that I just told the truth rather than lying. Like, but I had been so afraid of being beaten, of being grounded, of being punished for something different than, I don't know. I think had I lied, I would have been beaten for lying rather than beaten for drawing on the couch. So I learned that if I told the truth, I wouldn't be beaten. Tend to only be able to metabolize change when it's forced upon me, and when I have a choice to make a decision about change or taking a risk, I straight up cannot cope and always know about. Yes. In fact, if you're not scared, you're not doing it right. But you got to be brave. Like, there's a certain level of bravery that's required to change. And if you like the feeling of being scared, then you're going to continue to put yourself into situations where you're going to continue being scared. But it's okay to be scared and then overcome it anyway. Like, I was scared I was going to get beaten for drawing on the couch, but I did not. So the repercussions of me telling the truth are a lot more lenient than if I were to lie. But if you like being scared, then you're going to continue to put yourself into situations where you're going to be scared. But is that fear stopping you? Is that a giant wall for you to have to hurdle to accomplish the thing? Are you addicted to the idea that you're being stopped? Like, how do I put this? How is it that, how do I put this? Jeez. You're sabotaging yourself and you're addicted to sabotaging yourself. Like, what do you do, Andrew? Like, we all have something that we do that we're good at, that we possibly make money at, or we're just like considered like a expert in. Like, what do you do, Andrew? Do you do anything? Or is it fear that's what held you back? How did you, if you do a thing, like, how did you overcome that wall, that fear? What, did the fear exist when you pursued that thing? You read research for a living. So you have all of the intel, all of the knowledge, all the information to make a decision. And I assume, so you're addicted to the process of planning, but executing is where you hit the wall. I used to be in that position a lot. I couldn't call myself a comic. I wrote comics, is what I did. I couldn't call myself a comic artist because I wasn't actually drawing the comics that I was. You don't even know what you're saying. Well, are you a planner? Like you're setting up all of the pins, but you're afraid to knock them down? Is that what's up? I'm sorry, this turned into like therapy hour. Maybe I should, back off a little bit and read the next bit. But there was a time where, I have books upon books upon books upon books filled with plans. Filled with plans. Have I executed any of them? A little bit. A little bit. But those are walls that I have to overcome. And it's a lot of walls. It's a lot of walls. And they all have varying heights. But there's only so many hours in the day to hop walls, There's only so many hours in the day. I think it's not so much that I help them with their plans. I get them thinking about the plan, and then once they have the content, it's much easier to execute, right? So if I give the prompt, the follow-up to Wuthering Heights, yeah. But the idea that I give them a prompt to, say, make their logo. But once they have the logo sitting on their computer, they're more likely to use it. They're more likely to be like, oh, well, I can totally stick it in the corner of my screen. I can totally adjust my avatar. I can totally make my headers. And then once you have all of that stuff, you have the branding. And you've implemented a brand. Now, then what? People actually notice you. People actually I am a catalyst. Really, I think these are things that people know that they need to do. They just don't have the gumption to do it until they watch my videos. Because I show them that it's not that hard. There are little steps to get there, but if you take the big thing and you knock it down into little steps, it seems so much more feasible, doesn't it? Morning. Power naps today. Yeah. I noticed it come up on Discord. I'm super excited. Branding accessible by pointing to the first step. That's true. Once you have the first step, then I'm like, well, this is how you start, and then the next step is this, and the next step is this, and I make it feasible, right? I think I just kind of figured out my plans were setting myself up for self-emotional abuse, and it wasn't even for things I wanted. It's almost like societal transmission of ideals I didn't even want. That's tragic. That's really tragic. So so you don't have to tell me, but what is it that you actually want? Are you doing just the motions of being a member of society? Can you afford time and effort and money sometimes to actually do what you want? Or set yourself up in such a way that you get what you want? Yeah, I got you. I've always thought of myself as an unwilling catalyst for chaos. Like the more into their life someone draws me, the bigger a mess I tend to make. Is it a catalyst for chaos? Or do you just make a mess that someone else has to clean up? Granted, we've been friends for a very long time, and you haven't messed up my life yet. So granted, we kind of hold each other at a weird distance, don't we? But I consider you a friend. Hey, yo, cat. I was for a while, and then I got so depressed that my body was like, no, we're done. Time to take a break. I understand that very well. I got on meds to overcome that undertow. Yeah, I get that. Well, that's the thing. It's never stuff I do. It's always stuff that happens to them outside my control. So are you saying that chaos follows you? So it doesn't affect you, it just affects the person that you're hanging out with? Is that what's up? And you're taking blame for it for some weird reason? It may have nothing to do with you. I think this is going to be a 2-hour session. Because I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, I still have stuff I want to read. Correlation doesn't mean, yeah. But that's the thing, right? Logic brain understands that correlation doesn't mean causation. But how do you actually feel about it? Does your gut and your heart actually say, well, the only common denominator is me, so it's got to be something that I'm doing. It's got to be some aura that I have that just like brings these energies in. But now I'm happy, thankfully. I just had a rather hilarious realization that fearing death is actually somewhat comical. It can be. Fearing death is... yeah, it is pretty funny. It is pretty funny. What's there to fear? Is it death that we fear, or is it not living that we fear? Like, oh, I haven't done this yet. I haven't done that yet. Well, then do it. I treat every day like I could die at any minute. That way I have no regrets. Because I've been in many, many, many situations where I should have died and I didn't. Yeah, I know what you mean. Are you sure? People fear the unknown. So is it because they don't know what happens after you die? I don't know what'll happen tomorrow. Should I have the same fear that... So the idea that I made a 5-year plan is insinuating that I'm not going to get into a situation where I'm going to almost die. There's always going to be like coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? Ow! Jeez Louise. Does it fit this finger? Oh, barely. Jeez. So that's spoopy, right? But I don't fear death. I don't want to die, but I wouldn't call it fear. I don't want to die anymore now that I'm heavily medicated and I have things in my life I can actually look forward to and all of that jazz, right? But I still live every day like I could die tomorrow. And not so much because it's anything that I do, but since I've started taking meds, like I've had a stroke, I've almost died of, could have been COVID, but the tests are bullshit, so they called it walking pneumonia, which is basically you have every symptom of COVID, but it's not, you tested negative, which were things totally outside my control. I was in isolation when I got sick. We develop culture to cope with the death anxiety. I found that facing that death anxiety straight on eliminates a lot of angst where it feels natural to avoid it. Yeah. I think because I'm numb to it now. Like if I try to kill myself, I'm gonna survive. Like I've done it hundreds of times, hundreds over the last 20 years. And I have survived every time. So cope. I got it. But yeah, I mean, everybody has that lizard brain that would scatter when the lights turn on, right? It's really interesting. That death anxiety straight on eliminates a lot of the angst where it feels natural to avoid it. So it's not so much the death that you're avoiding, it's the angst that's around the death that you're avoiding, right? Yeah. So you built this like building around it and you just walk around the building. We as humans do seem to expend a lot of energy either distracting ourselves from the inevitability of death or trying to convince ourselves that in some way we will live on after our body dies. Well, it's possible. Hi, Jenny. Also live on Cat Stream. Oh. Well, because the prospect of not being is difficult to parse. That's an interesting concept that I might have to meditate on. The concept of being. I continue to be, despite all of my efforts otherwise. Your secret's safe with us. Just drinking all the coffee. The reality of magic. How are we feeling? Are we ready for the reality of magic, or are we still kind of parsing apart the fear of death versus the fear of change? Because obviously your instinct is to fear everything, right? Which means something must have, yeah, you're ready to move on. How about you, Raven? Are you ready to move on? I mean, death is, so far as anyone knows for certain, the ultimate state of unbeing, and it can be difficult to grasp there is no me anymore. Well, for many of us who struggled with suicidal thoughts, that's kind of what we're counting on. It's kind of what we're hoping for. Yeah, okay. Let's move on. Because then we get into, my views on death, and that's a long discussion. All right. When the world thinks of a witch, they most often associate the word with spells, complete with bubbling cauldron full of mysterious ingredients and fantastical results. Usually close by is a giant and ancient book of spells, a grimoire full of secrets and incantations. If we wipe away the costumes and the CGI, what we are left with is an ordinary-looking someone cooking a special meal in the kitchen, maybe following Grandmom's recipe, with a few little tweaks along the way. Magic isn't that unusual or full of special effects, as we'll see. My personal views of death, should that be a podcast? That is... I should write a blog post on it and, yeah, maybe do a thing. Death paper. Yeah, that's really interesting. Oh my gosh, my book is already falling apart. The sealant on the book is fraying. Death is in everything I write. Even that flash piece has some death stuff in it. I think that's one of the fascinations with ghost stories, because it is the concept that there is an afterlife. And an afterlife that we don't understand. I would do an audio version for you. You know that. But I would do both. I would write it and also, okay, go do that thing. Do they go on site for school or are they learning from home? What's the deal, Debbie? Yeah, I am curious. I am curious. I'll have to like go back through the chat and be like, well, I could speak on about this in volumes. All right, let's move on. When I talk about magic, I'm attempting to name the force or action that is the essence of change, combined with the spirit of influence. To me, the word magic falls short of really capturing that. But until I or someone else comes up with a better word that enables mutual understanding, we're using it. Oh, they recently started going on site. Yeah, there was a school bus turning around on my street this morning. And I don't know what that means. But the only time when a school bus comes down that street is if it's like for a special needs child. So they don't have to walk as far to the bus stop. But that's beside the point. Magic is like both the space between neurons and the message that is relayed through it. You could see magic as the friction of threads being woven as they pass by each other, and the pattern they create together. It is the metaphysical application of thought, focus, and the will to create a desired change. The change you are looking for might be within yourself, your environment, other people, things, or something else you seek to manipulate. Actually, a lot closer to being able to reverse aging than most people think. That's true. We can edit genes within several different animals to make them up to 500 years old. Which is going to fuck up the system, right? The system we have in place is expecting people to either retire or die at 60 years old. But thanks to modern medicine, people are living to 80, 90, 100. But our system is not set up to support people that long. Like Social Security, for instance, it's not set up to support people like that. There's no inflation for Social Security either. So what you used to be able to live on, you can no longer live on. And it would be one thing if you only had like a handful of years left. But if you look, that'll be more on my thing of death and the fear of death, I suppose. UBI is going to have to be implemented. It's inevitable. Mm-hmm. Which is probably why I don't know. I think there's also, I have like a significant issue with money and being in debt, like possibly going to jail for being in debt. Like, and that's the fear of not living, right? is me going to jail for being in debt. There are worse things than death. That's how I feel about it. You're looking parched. Why didn't you drink something? Okay. All right. You guys haven't seen a post involving the link to my shop, have you? Did I turn it off? I might have turned it off. I might have disabled it, which is dumb. I think it will be good for society too, as people will finally be able to pursue their artistic pursuits and whatnot. Hi, Spence. So good to see you. Jeez. We're talking about some heavy topics this morning. Yeah, I haven't seen one yet either. Yay, Spence. We're talking about the fear of change versus the fear of death. That's what we've been talking about this video so far. There may be worse things than deaths, but definitely nothing so permanent. I don't know. Becoming a mom is awfully permanent. No, you can derail the chat all you want, hun. That's what it's there for. Being a mom is awfully permanent. And I am not set up to be a mom. Hi, Heather. So good to see you. We're talking about some heavy topics in the chat today. Mostly talking about the fear of change versus the fear of death. Smart ass. Not for some, but you could set an entire bloodline. Death can end one. But so what's the problem with that? Why do we need the legacy? So you can live forever? For instance, the name, my surname, my legal surname, dies with me. I'm it. My niece is technically a Hippert. And no sons have been born. So no continuation of the name is going to exist from here on out. It does constantly change. But that fear of change, some people never get over it. Which is how a 26-year-old woman can still be treated like a 14-year-old child. If we find a way to live forever, I wonder if people will just stop having kids. Or have so many kids. So many kids. Especially if they're Catholic. Who I was as a mom 10 years ago is definitely different from today with a 19 and a 16-year-old. Absolutely. But that is change that is forced upon you. Those people, you have little embryos that change into people over the years, right? If you were to be immortal, would you have children? Why did you have children? Was it sprung on you? Was it an accident? Did you want a legacy? What were your reasonings? We don't need it. I was agreeing with you to your point. Being a mom is permanent, but for some women, it affects them for life, even if they don't interact with the kids for their life. That's how I feel it. Absolutely. Once you're a mom, you're always a mom. Now, the definition of mom changes as you go. Absolutely. But every sperm is sacred. Yeah. Every sperm is good. Every sperm is sacred in your neighborhood. Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting subject. For some, Nicole. For myself, my kid may or may not eventually live on his own. We don't know yet. He has special needs. And so the definition of mom for you is a lot different than the definition of mom for Nicole. That was a weird episode of Sesame Street, I tell you. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Is this the liminal section? Practical bridge. Is this the liminal section? This is the liminal section. Ask 2 which is what the liminal is, and you'll probably get at least 5 explanations. Yeah. Legacies are both important and utterly not at the same time. My husband took my name when we got married. You know, in Virginia, it's considered falsifying your identity if the husband tries to take the woman's name. It's actually illegal for the husband to take the wife's name. The closest you can get is hyphenating. Because it was important to my dad that there was a mini Spence, and my husband didn't need a mini former last name. Yeah. If you don't want any children, yeah. I can see how that would make motherhood constant for you. The discussion came from Sako's statement that motherhood is as permanent as death. And there's a lot of people who think that death isn't permanent. Me being one of them, right? Yeah. I'm in the Bible Belt. Good luck with that. I'm really excited about the liminal part of this book. And I'm sure Doll is as well. Wow. RP and Jordan are still going. It's craziness. You can't actually legally change your name. I thought that was regulated at the federal level. It is not. For instance, I cannot change my name. I can change my last name because I got married. But to change my first name would be considered dodging my loans because I have federal loans. No, we got another hour. I'm hanging out until 11 o'clock this morning because we got some interesting conversation going. But no, that's at a state level. But I cannot change my name. I would like my legal name to be Fusako. Well, hold on. Fusako is my middle name. And I understand why my parents named me my first name because a lot of thought went into that, like a lot of thought. So I wanted to switch those names and then have the new last name. And they were like, nope, you can't do that. It's not legal. Hi, Melanie. Ooh, hi, Jesse. I guarantee Andrew T will find a way to be immortal. Yeah. Also, hi, Jesse. So glad that you were enjoying our talk. Jeez. I changed my name legally in Ohio, but the rules for how to do it changed by the county. So who even knows what the rules are anymore? Yeah. I'm so excited that I can tell there's good discussion. Not even here for 5 minutes and I've already learned something new. Oh, really? Ooh. I'm so excited my schedule has finally cleared up so I can make it to these morning streams more often. Also, hey. How do you know I'm not immortal already? I'm convinced that Andrew is going to live for 5,000 years plus and be young the entire time. Because, you know, I hate to say it, but black don't crack, right? You're going to look young forever. So you could reasonably move to another state, change your name under the statutes there, and then move back and they'd have to eat it. I don't think I can legally do that because I'm technically a resident of Virginia. I would have to go somewhere, live there for 2+ years, and then change my name. Touché. Although the federal loan thing might get in the way. Yeah. I know I have a lot of friends who went to other countries to dodge their loans. If no one believes in reincarnation, aren't their souls technically immortal? If one believes, yes. If one believes in reincarnation, their souls are technically immortal. Past lives and all of that, right? Well, I'm already 10,000. Yep. Yeah, there's something that will probably block it. Yeah. I should probably get a drink that isn't coffee. Normally I do 3 cups of coffee, but two is good today. Granted, I'm tripping over my tongue a little bit. other people, things, or something else you seek to manipulate, right? Oh no. Bad day at school, huh? Because that energy would just be reused according to reincarnation philosophies. Absolutely. And karma impacts how you manifest, right? And what happens, karma impacts how things happen to you that are out of your control. White is our default state. Oh, that's unfortunate. I think the reality of magic is another discussion. I think the concept of death is and reincarnation is far more interesting, don't you? Correspondences, that's right. Pathos, yeah. Oh, here we go. Magic and morality. Oh, I thought it said mortality for a hot second. I'm stuck on mortality. The crux of cursing. Magic is not a band-aid. Do I need a grimoire? Or do you? At this stage of the game, I don't need a grimoire. It's nice to look back and be like, what did I think on this topic at the time? But I mostly have like a journal, kind of recording my findings, recording my journey, which is my book of mirrors. So that's the most. Death magic is a thing. Now I'm never going to do death magic because like a death spell, like a curse, that's a kind of mind control, and I don't subscribe to mind control spells. I think they're inherently evil, and I'm not into evil shit. I personally refuse to believe that the life I'm currently living is it. And with dreams, they can often be windows into our pasts and our futures, for that matter. Which is kind of what I'm afraid of with that dream I had this morning / last night. Karma is a thing. Why are there so many bad people in the world who aren't being punished? Oh, they will. Bad people are already living in their own hell. Grab some water. Right or karma happens to the soul in their next life, not during their current life. Yeah, karma happens to their soul in their next life. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It can affect your current life too. Which is why Buddhists exist. That's the whole concept of Nichiren Buddhism, is to change your karma for the better. You come into Buddhism assuming, a lot of people come into Buddhism like when they're at their lowest point, and they're looking for something to believe in. And the whole concept is we can live in heaven here on earth, right? Heaven is here and what we make of it, but so is hell. And to be caught in those worlds, you gotta, you gotta break the mold. Oh, wait. I'll give my favorite example of karma existing. Last month, my husband and I were out of town for his brother's wedding. After the event, we were at our hotel. He took a shower. I asked him how it was. He said it wasn't the best hotel shower experience ever, and thud, he slipped and broke his wrist. I don't know if that's karma. Saying that wasn't the best is it. I don't know that that's an equal. There's like 1,000 different interpretations too, so pick your poison. Those people may not be punished in this lifetime, but their souls will continuously reincarnate with no hope for rest. Well, even if you're good, there's no rest. There's no such thing as rest. But you don't want it. You don't want rest. Right? I don't think that's the true definition of karma. That's just shitty luck. Yeah. It is shitty luck. That's karma. Karma was pissed off that day. Well, so karma isn't a god. It's very neutral. And there's good karma and there's bad karma. It's kind of like, then you have simulation theory. Yeah. Right. He laughed about it once he got his bearings straight. But that's a whole different can of worms. Well, we have another 40 minutes for cans of worms. All right, I'm going to get a glass of water or a can of water. I'll be right back. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Boop, 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 boop. Oh. Boop, boop. Boop, doop, 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 doop. Doop, 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 doop. I should make like a Muzak track that's basically that tune. Karma is like magic. There's no good or bad. It's also different for everyone. Cause and effect. Karma is cause and effect. But the intentions being good or bad, that's subjective, right? My homemade bread is too soft for egg sandwiches. Oh no! Did it seep through and do soggy bread things? I'm walking my dog now and it feels great outside. Lower humidity, slightly lower temps, a breeze. Fall has arrived in Florida. Yay! Fall's arrived in, well, the leaves aren't changing yet, but the temperatures are lower and lower humidity. So could karma be looked as subjective causation? It's objective causation. It's not like good or bad. We as Buddhists look at good and bad as does it incur good karma or does it incur bad karma? If to bring about good karma, we do good things. To bring about bad karma, we do bad things. What type of homemade bread? I was thinking karma was more like laws of physics than magic. It's a force that exists, but no inherent bias beyond negative energy and positive energy. Ding. The leaves have been falling all month. Who can tell? Makes perfect sense. This is why I've missed these morning chats. Aww. Stripper booty simulation hypothesis looking better and better each day. That's awesome. I'm glad you hang out with us in the morning, Andrew. You are hilarious. And also smart. Super smart. Yeah. It's official autumn in the Northern Hemisphere. Officially autumn in the Northern Hemisphere. Yeah. Saw my first partially burnt orange tree and was ecstatic. The leaves aren't changing in Virginia yet. A couple of trees are, but the forests are still doing their thing. Yeah. It's called Back of the Bag oatmeal bread from King Arthur Flour. Oh, King Arthur Flour is awesome. Super delicious. Just too much grease and egg goo. Gotta eat it with the fork. Yeah. Why is there grease in your egg salad? I can smell smoke, like someone had themselves on a fire last night in their backyard fire pit. Always reminds you of fall. That's nice. So the concept of reincarnation, I don't know that I fear death. So my father thinks that I'm the reincarnation of a woman he knew in Hawaii. I dress like her, I talk like her, I move like her. At least I did when I was a teenager. So she died of cancer, and my dad thinks that I am the reincarnation of her. To write during the day, I'm going to multitask and hang out here while I jump into revisions. I'm halfway finished getting it ready for betas. Woo! Egg salad sandwich over a medium egg. Oh, it's not egg salad. It's an egg sandwich. Oh. I misread. Whew. So kind of like a homemade McMuffin but on bread? Yeah. It sounds fantastic right now. I know, right? I'm going to have cold pizza for breakfast. / lunch. Brunch? Brunch. I kind of want to show this off. So this artist that I came across at a con many moons ago, I bought a poster and I bought a book. They're basically, these drawing books like these are great because they're basically, come on, just give me one. Like, time for a beach party. What's on his shirt? Who's on the beach? What kind of music is coming out of the thing? Draw all the things, right? Well, I think a good, like, viscousy, not a raw yolk, that's different, but the 2 weeks off from work. Wow. Raven, talk about change. Oozy yolk. Yeah, it's oozy. It oozes. So last night I did this exercise where you forge a key for said locks. So like you got the magical tree, you got the robot bear, the dragon dungeon, ultimate padlock, stuff like that. And I did them on my tablet. So it was super fun. Okay, Kavanaugh is live. Oh. Kate Kavanaugh is going to be writing on screen. Oh my gosh, that is really spooky. I do not have the guts to write on screen. This one. So I did this. And then I'll probably color them, color the whole page. Probably do that. But it's good for like little warm-ups for drawing and designing things. Hope everything works out for you. It's also awesome. Yes. I might do something similar where I make like frames for people and prompts for people. Give us stripes. Yeah. So you gotta draw stripes on all the kitty cats. Cloudfish. Cloudfish. So I'll probably do if Doll doesn't do her normal stream, maybe I'll do do an art stream. And you guys can. Oh, that's going to be a fun one. I think I'm going to do that one next. Oh, it's a snowboard. That's cool. My mom is doing that with pages she's been coloring while recovering from surgery. She wants to give them as thank you gifts to friends who've been helping her. Aren't they awesome? I love coloring books, especially when you know how to color. They're great. So my therapist used to see a child, and I used to color in the Disney coloring books with the crayon, what few crayons were left. And I would, with like lighting and cools and warms, shadows and light and values and all of my arty skills with crayons in a coloring book, in a child's coloring book. And I kind of wish I would have taken a photo of it because she had to pull the books because some of the more mentally unstable people were writing like crazy shit in the books, which was not great for the child. Not great for the child. But coloring is super great. So I'm probably going to eat a lunch, and then I'll probably start a stream doing arty things. How do you guys feel like that? About that? I know there are only 10 people watching, but I need to continue working on my branding. And I think it might be fun if you guys watch me color and ink. All right. Yeah, it's been really cool having you here. Hope to see you at a later time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Also, hi! Doing art is relaxing, and watching others create art is relaxing as well. Cool. Arty stream would be nice. You could paint. Yeah. Sounds great. Take care, Andrew. It was fun chatting with you. Absolutely. I could wrap it up now, go eat lunch, and then come back and do art. How do you guys feel about that? And then you guys can like watch Kate, or I think RP and Jordan are still streaming. Phone warned me you've used 2 Facebooks. If you're 100, I try writing that again because I don't think I understand what you're saying. Sounds okay. I have to shower and start some laundry anyway. Okay, great. Thank you all for joining me today while we discuss the fear of change versus the fear of death and the concept of immortality and legacy and all of that really cool stuff. I'll probably do a blog post when I watch this in post. Oh, okay, GBs, not FBs. It's different. Bye. See you guys in a few.